Been I think like 7 years since you guys actually faced Rodgers in a game. When you're looking at his tape this week, is he still pretty much the same player as he was back in 13 or whatever when you played him?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I feel like when you look at the tape last year and the early part of this season, he's got great command of what they're doing offensively. They've got great balance, and I know that's obviously a quarterback's friend. Their ability to run the ball is impressive. Um, they take plenty of shots down the field. It's an explosive offense in the running game and the passing game. So yeah, I mean, you watch the timing of what they're doing, the precision. I think Matt and his staff have done a great job of instilling a plan, and this is a team that obviously won a bunch of games, 13 a year ago, and are off to a 2-0 start. And so yeah, he's playing fantastic.
Does he still do a lot of the off-schedule stuff that he kind of did in the past? Just kind of like improvising, sort of.
Yeah, and look, he does, and yet I would say a credit to what they're doing right now. I mean, he's got that ability, and certainly in the red zone, if you're going to rush three, he's going to understand that, buy time, find receivers. But he's on schedule, and he's someone who's difficult to sack. He's got a quick release. He understands the defense. He understands where he might be short. And so you're seeing the same skill set.
Sean, would you describe this, bear with me on this, as maybe a challenging time for you to try to figure out the offense and get it going? Or do you feel like this is something you've been through before and you've done it? How would you say the last few days have been for you looking at the offense?
Well, look, I thought we did some things better last week than we had the week before. I felt the one challenge a week ago was the time of possession. And in the second half, we had trouble getting off the field. We talk all the time about a complementary game, and to credit Oakland, they very much played a complementary game. Their offense converted, was on the field a lot, and conversely, it felt like the third quarter went quick for us relative to our snaps on offense and a lot of snaps for our defense. So, yeah, I mean, each week we're working extremely hard at trying to find the right fit for our players to have success in that game. And, it's always easier to do coming off a win, and yet that's just the reality of our league. You come back, you make the corrections, and then very quickly you got to get on to the next opponent. And meanwhile, as coaches, we're constantly evaluating not only what we're doing, but who we're doing it with.
Sean, how big is Nick Easton been just in giving you guys some flexibility there and kind of filling in wherever you'll have needed a player to start?
Yeah, I mean, look, there is flexibility, and I think overall it's been important for us. He's someone that obviously can play at center. He's played at guard. He's an experienced player, and so he was a good addition for us when we signed him, and is playing well.
Sean, does Traquan have a better understanding of what he's doing in the offense? Now, he's talked before about how it was a little bit slow, but does it look like he's where he needs to be?
Yeah, I think so. I think, number one, he had a real good week of practice. We'll move him around some. He's a real good blocker for us, but he's also a guy down the field that can run. And the one thing about him is he can catch the ball in traffic. So he'll be a big part of this plan.
Marcus Davenport's been back at practice the last couple of days. How beneficial is that for y'all just to get him back?
Look, it's good to have all your guys out there healthy, and sometimes that's not always the case, but yeah, I would say just what you said. It's good to have him back out there working and getting reps and feeling good.
Hey, Sean, it seems like the Raiders either had no crowd noise or it was low enough you couldn't hear it. Have you guys considered just dropping the fake crowd noise altogether? Because you will be able to have at least some fans in attendance this weekend.
No, I look, they just changed the levels or decibels at which the stadium can set the crowd noise from, you know, what was 70, I think you can go up to 80 now. Yeah, look, we'll set it at whatever level you know you're allowed to set it at, and I think that that will work just fine.
Coach, what's been your assessment of the kicking game so far this season?
Pretty good. Last week, I would say, you know, we did our job. There was nothing remarkable relative to coverage or return units, and the week before we were outstanding. So hopefully that can be a big part of our success Sunday night.
Is that surprising, considering that you didn't get to really touch on too much in training camp with the live?
Yeah, I mean, look, we're talented at those positions. We're talented at kicker. We're talented at punter. We feel like we've got real good coverage units and a good return game. So, and I think we've got a core group of guys that have returned, and obviously that helps. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you, Coach.
Hey, Taysom, you got a chance to play briefly with Aaron Rodgers, and just wanted to ask you about how him and Drew sort of compare as far. I mean, what are some similarities and maybe even some differences between those two?
Yeah, I mean, I think overall both of those quarterbacks, they win a lot of football games with their mind, you know, and obviously Aaron, there's probably a little more off-timing throws, and Aaron runs the ball a little bit more than Drew does, which is probably what I would say would be the difference. But both quarterbacks win with their minds. I would say Drew, what makes him special and unique is, you know, his ability to know what the defense is doing, attacking their weakness, and, you know, I certainly saw the same thing from Aaron, and he had a great command of the offense and, you know, finding the weaknesses and exploiting them.
Next question is from Amy Just.
Yeah, the Saints and the Packers played early in your tenure here with the Saints, but you didn't play in that game. So I guess how special is this for you that you actually are going to be a part of the game plan to play against them?
Yeah, look, the turnover in Green Bay has been high since I was there last. There's certainly several players that are still there and that I consider friends. It's a fun game to be a part of, but man, overall, I had a great experience in Green Bay, and going from the number of injuries that I had and then being undrafted, and the reality is Green Bay created an opportunity for me to be seen, and I will forever be grateful to the Packers and their organization, and you know, they certainly have a soft spot in my heart as well because of the opportunity that they created for me.
Next question's from Amos Morale.
Yeah, the kicking game has looked real sharp these first two games, and I was wondering if that surprised you at all, considering you guys didn't get the same kind of you normally would in training camp.
Sorry, you cut up a little bit. I'm assuming you said because we didn't have preseason games. Is that what?
Yeah, because you didn't get the same kind of live work.
Yeah, no, I'm not surprised. I look at Thomas, I look at Will, I look at Zach, and those three core guys have been together for the last several years, and they're all professionals. They're vets that were working. In the off season, they put in plenty of work during training camp, and so I'm not surprised how well that they've performed so far.
And in terms of the coverage units, you guys seem to be, picking up right where you left off last year. That just sort of kind of the same thing.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I think our core guys are guys that we've played together. And I would also say, last year we were all still getting used to each other with a new special teams coordinator. And I think going into this year, we didn't have a learning curve, with Coach Rizzi. Like, we were all familiar with each other, and we obviously added a few new parts, but the core nucleus and stuff is all still there. And Craig and Thomas, who were our special teams captains, like, those guys have done a great job making sure that everybody's ready, and they've been great leaders, special teams wise.
Next question's from Mike Triplett.
Hey, Taysom, this is kind of a trivial question that I normally would ask just walking up at your locker in the normal season, but I'm curious, did you guys still have the quarterback challenges during this preseason? And if so, what was your record? How'd you do?
Yeah, good question. We did still have QB challenges, but it wasn't as organized, you would say, as it normally is. And honestly, I'm not sure what the record was. If you asked me, I'm sure I will say that I won. If you asked Drew, he'd probably say the same thing. If you asked James, he'd probably say the same thing. I'm not sure where we were.
Was there a particular talent, since Jameis was the new guy in the bunch, was there a particular skill set that he showed off that came out in those even more than in a practice session?
I will say most of the QB challenges, we didn't. Most of it was playing around. There wasn't really a ton of opportunity to throw a deep ball, and we were just having fun. So there was nothing particular that stands out in my mind.
Next one's from Amy Just.
Just following up on my last question. From the Washington game, in that preseason game in 2017 to now, how would you say that you've grown since then?
Yeah, I mean, I think overall, just my overall confidence of playing in the NFL, I think that transition from the speed of the game to the style of defense that you play week in and week out, my comfort level of that has grown tremendously, and continues to grow. But I would say that those are the main things that stick out in my mind. Every year I feel like it's a little bit easier to recognize and make right decisions and make plays, and that's what comes to my mind.
Do you ever find yourself looking back like, oh, it's been 3 years since then, and just how far things have come for you since then? Yeah, and
I think again this week is one of those weeks that's created an opportunity for me to do that, and I certainly didn't envision my career playing out the way that it has so far, but man, it's been, the last few years have been so much fun for me and my wife and our family, and having the opportunity to be in New Orleans and playing the NFL has been an incredible experience. But the reality is that incredible experience all started in Green Bay, and had a great experience there too.
Last one's from Nick Underhill.
It looked like on one of their punts last week that you kind of like really lit up Foster Moreau, and like it seems like contact is one of the hallmarks of your game. Like, how do you marry that though with the thought that you're probably closer to that quarterback chair than you have been at any point in the last couple of years.
Yeah, that's something that I have to remove from my mind, frankly. I prepare every week to play quarterback, but I also know that my role is unique and I can add value in a different way to this team. So I feel like if I'm worried about avoiding contact to preserve my body, preserve me as a quarterback, then I'm not, adding as much value as I possibly can to my team. So I'm not thinking about that as I take the field, and my mindset is to, make every play count that I'm on the field and to help our team win football games.
All right, that wraps it up. Thank you,
Thanks,
Taysom.
Easy one. How you feeling?
Feeling good. Just trying to get the game plan down and work towards this Sunday game.
Amy, you can go ahead.
Okay. Short weeks are always hard to bounce back from, even with a win. So when you're going over all of the things that y'all need to work on, how do you balance recovering from that West Coast versus working on the things that you need to improve on for the next week?
As professional athletes, that's kind of, what our job requires of it every day. You come in with bumps and bruises, and you still have to get the game plan down. You still have to get everything taken care of. That's just so, like, when the day's over, you're not just running out the door. You might be going to get some treatment. You might be going to the meeting room. You might be doing whatever to get those last little things locked down, get your body right, get everything right for that week's game. You kind of just throw that away and do it all again the next week.
Next question's from Nick Underhill.
Yeah, what do you see from their running game, and what makes their running back kind of a unique challenge?
Explosive running game. He finds his gaps. These guys makes holes for him, and he hits them running. And he has a burst, breakaway speed. He has everything you want in the running back. Like I said, the offensive line makes pretty big holes for him, and even when it's not holes, he'll set up holes and get everything going for himself. So they work real well together. You just come in and play it.
How'd you feel like you guys did against Jacobs last week?
We obviously didn't do everything we wanted. We didn't win the game. So, like I said, we're going to the Packers now, and we're gonna try to stop Aaron's.
Next one's from Amy Just.
Yeah, y'all got Marcus back at practice this week. Just how big is that, getting him back, at least taking some reps in practice?
It's good to have everybody out there on the field, having our depth and, having everybody that can roll and go. If we need fresh legs, throw somebody in there. The talent, if we want to drop off, we'll go in and give it our all at the end of the day. It's big to have them back out there, have all our ends in rotation. Everybody's learning stuff. Everybody's getting, we still getting knocking the rust off and everything. So it's good to have them back out there.
How has Roach looked so far to you?
I got hit on it a couple weeks ago, but he's looking real good. His ears are open, eyes are open. He's looking and trying to learn. He's listening to everything everybody's talking around him, and he's playing fast. He's playing good. He came in and he's been working really hard.
All right, we should be all set. Thank you, Malcolm.
Thank y'all.
Good. All right. Our first question is from Luke Johnson.
Cool.
Eric, hey, how big has Nick Easton been for y'all? Just whenever, either when it's been Andres or Caesar, just kind of plugging in and not not missing a beat.
Yeah, I mean, Nick's a heck of a player. He's very smart, very cerebral, knows the playbook like the back of his hand, and he's a great addition to the room. He's definitely somebody that I enjoy working with.
Next question is from Amy Just.
Sorry, I couldn't figure out how to unmute my computer. Caesar got in for like 6 snaps in injury relief last week. How good was that just to have him ready to be able to play last week?
Yeah, I would say it was really beneficial. I mean, anytime that you can get young guys like us on the field, it's a good thing. You can get the experience, the game experience especially. And, he's a valuable piece of this offensive line.
Amy, you can go ahead again.
Okay. The offense, with Michael Thomas not playing last week, maybe not playing this week, it changes a little bit. Does that change anything for y'all up front in terms of how the entire game is going to go?
I would say yes and no, just because, Michael Thomas is the best receiver in the NFL, so not having him on the field is obviously a difference. But up front, we've got to go out and execute whether he's there or not. Whether that's in the run game or in protection, we've got to go out and execute and be fundamentally sound.
Next one's from Ames Morale.
Yeah, a bit of a, philosophical question. Obviously, when you're looking to bounce back from a loss and you have a good opponent coming in, do you kind of have to tell yourself, all right, let's just focus on doing what we need to do and not try to do too much to, make up for last week? Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, that makes sense 100%. Yeah, and I would say it all comes down to the execution all across the board, especially on the offensive line. We can execute a ton better than we did last game, and especially better than we did in the Tampa game. But, just try not to do too much, staying within your realm and your game. And just execution. It's a big thing.
Next one's from Luke Johnson.
Eric, how tough, just from film study, how tough is Kenny Clark to kind of deal with in the interior?
Kenny Clark is a hell of a player, and I'll be the first one to tell you, running pass, he's strong, he's quick twitch. That rare combination of size and speed makes him one of, if not the best defensive tackles in the NFL. So I have to be on my A game.
Next question's from Nick Underhill.
You guys are averaging like 8.4 yards per screen attempt. That's up like 3 yards from last year. What do you think some of the keys are to that being so good the first couple of weeks of the season?
Honestly, I would just say assignment, knowing kind of where they're going to drop to. That's something I especially didn't know last year, but where the defense is going to drop to, which is going to depend on, who's responsible when they're 1 out, who's responsible when they're 2 out, and just the assignment of it all.
Next one's from Amy Just.
Yeah, how would you say you've grown from year 1 to year 2?
So I have grown a ton in just the mental area of the game. Just better recognition of twists and slants and stuff like that. But also physically, I've gotten a lot better, with my reach blocks, with my footwork. That's stuff that I spent a lot of time in the offseason working on. So it's nice to see that improvement.
And then there are going to be like 750 fans, family members in the stands. Is your wife going to be there? Any other family?
Yes, my beautiful wife will be there. I cannot speak about, I don't know if the rest of my family will be, but my beautiful wife will be. And that's exciting.
Next one's from Luke Johnson.
Cool.
Yeah, back to Easton. I've heard a couple people just mention his intelligence there. How does that kind of play out on the field? Like, is it just being in the right place? Is it communicating?
I would say a lot of it has to do with communication, especially with me. He's really good at picking up when the defensive line is going to slant or when he thinks the twist game is coming. So he'll be like, hey, E, watch the 3 technique slant here, or watch the TT here. Just stuff like that, just from his film study. So it's impressive.
That should wrap it up. Thank you, Eric.
Cool. Appreciate y'all.
Thanks, Eric.
All right, now I'm with you guys.